today I'm really excited because we are going to talk about raw food and does cooking really ruin the nutrients in the food, which is an interesting topic. And I've gotten some questions about it. And so we're going to just talk raw food today and cooked food as well. So before we get started, I wanted to also address a question that somebody had asked me offline about Kangen water, which is a version of alkaline water. And they were just asking, like, is that really healthy? Like, what is it? Is it important? And so I just wanted to say that Kangen water, it means, in Japanese, it means like from the origin or something along the lines of that. And it is basically a version of alkaline water. And people buy, the ionizers and all of those special units to put filtration systems to put on your sink, and then the version of the water is called Kangen water. I think it's a trademarked name. So anyway, they were asking if it's all that healthy and all that, and I would have to say, I think I said it last week when we talked about the alkaline diet, that there isn't a whole lot of research that the alkaline water is that much better for you, but if it makes you drink more water and stay hydrated, which we did talk about season 1, episode 45, if you missed the episode on hydration, that, if it makes you drink more water, then drink it. It's good. It's not going to harm you. That's the thing. But if you are fine drinking regular water, then just stick with that. So you don't have to seek it out. But if you like it, great. Continue drinking it. Okay, so Kangen water. That was the answer to that. And so let's talk raw food. I have to say that back when I used to live in Colorado and worked at a coffee shop and hung out with a lot of people that worked at the local co-op, and so we're all into like healthy food and trying different things. And I have to say that I did try to eat raw. I think it was several weeks, but I did it in January, and I was very cold. I found that not eating cooked food, I was just really cold. But I'll tell you some stories along the way of today's episode. But I did meet like somebody that's an official raw foodist, and he had us over for dinner one night, and we ate some really delicious food. One of the recipes that we're going to do today is kind of similar to something that he made years ago, and I still think about. So anyway, I have a little experience with eating this way, but I did move back to eating cooked foods because I was so cold. So anyway, let's define raw food. So raw food is basically people that follow the raw food diet or the raw food lifestyle, I guess, basically have the belief that eating food, like they want to eat foods in their purest form that haven't been cooked or heated or pasteurized or gone through any sort of heating process. So let's see. Hi, Alli. Great topic. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I think that's my parents. Hello, parents. Let's see. So, yes, so eating food that hasn't been cooked, processed, heated, pasteurized, anything like that. And so there is like a magic number for the temperature. And the temperature is, they consider cooking anything that's above 117 degrees Fahrenheit, 47 degrees Celsius. And that is because the whole theory of eating raw food is basically it's healthy because you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables, but also there's a belief that heating or cooking foods destroys the enzymes that are in the fruits, vegetables, food, legumes, all that, the foods. So the belief is that you can have something up to 117 degrees. So I know that some people do like dehydrating foods, or they dehydrate their foods that are doing the raw food diet. And they set the dehydrator to be below that temperature. So anyway, they believe that then there becomes an enzyme deficiency and the body doesn't process the food quite as well. But I have to say that there are some scientists that also believe that those enzymes that are in the foods are just meant to help the plant grow. So, and there aren't necessarily to help our digestion. So either, there are differing opinions. So, so basically the raw food diet consists of fruits, vegetables, sprouted nuts and legumes, or raw nuts, I guess. Fermented foods, like kimchi, things like that. Nothing, that hasn't been heated or processed or anything. So fermented foods. Usually people aren't eating meat and dairy and processed foods and eggs and preservatives and additives, but there are some people that do follow the raw food diet that also eat raw dairy products like raw unpasteurized milk, or raw fish, which like sushi, or raw meat, which that you have to be careful with. But I assume that people that are eating the raw meat are doing it in a responsible way. So so there are some people that consider themselves raw foodists that do eat those things, but they're still raw. So let's talk pros and cons. Then I'm going to talk about the different heating methods, and then 2 recipes. So this is exciting. I'm very excited about the 2 recipes too. Okay, so pros and cons. So pro of the raw food diet is you're eating a plant-based diet mostly, unless you're eating the meats. But let's just assume that people that are eating the raw food diet are just eating a plant-based diet. And you're eating lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, you're sprouting your grains, all that. So it's a lot of fiber, which is good. That is good for our digestion. It helps us stay full longer, helps us, stay healthy. So the fiber thing is a good thing. We got a question or a comment. Hi, Kelly. I heard unpasteurized milk helps prevent developing food allergies, which is why we used to buy Smith Farm milk, because I believe it's half pasteurized. Did somebody say kimchi? Yes, Mark, somebody did say kimchi. Delicious. That's interesting, Kelly. I didn't know that about that Smith Farm is half pasteurized, and also with the helps prevent developing food allergies. But that is interesting. Maybe because your body processes it differently. I'll have to look into that. That is interesting. So a raw foodist could maybe have Smith Farms if it was just half pasteurized. Maybe it's like a certain temperature they go to. Very interesting. And yes, Mark, kimchi. I probably mention kimchi almost every episode, just like chia seeds. Okay, let's go back to the pros. So, high fiber diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of nutrients, and basically the thought is that the enzymes are still intact so the body can process it. And you also are not heating the vitamins and minerals and nutrients out of the food, so you're getting most of the nutrients. But we'll come back to that when we talk about cooking foods. So, those are all good things. Cons are that while fiber is excellent, a lot of raw fiber can also be kind of hard on our body. It could, cause bloating and gas and just a lot of discomfort. So cooking, one of the benefits of cooking is it does actually break down the food in a way that our bodies can digest, which is a little bit easier. So that's just one pro of cooking. I'll have a couple of other things to say about cooking too. But, I'll just say it now. So also with cooking, yes, some vitamins and nutrients are lost, which I will explain which ones are lost or decreased at least. But some foods actually you absorb their nutrients and their vitamins better after it's been cooked. And I'll give you a couple of examples of those in a moment. Another con of this diet is that it might be hard to get protein. I mean, if you're eating a lot of sprouted legumes and a lot of sprouted whole grains and a lot of nuts, maybe it wouldn't be difficult, but might be for some people. So that's just one possible con, one potential con. And then, it might just not be super realistic to do this diet 100% of the time. Just socially, and it's just going out to dinner might be hard unless you go to a raw food restaurant, or if you get green salad, and just going to somebody's house could be difficult. So it just might not be realistic, or you might just get tired of eating raw food all the time. So some people do an 80-20. So 80% of the time raw, 20% of the time cooked, and then they get some protein, they get some cooked vegetables. So that's always a possibility. We can do 80-20 for anything in our lives. So those are the pros, those are the cons. Let's talk about what cooking does, what nutrients might be lost, and then we'll talk cooking methods. Then we'll do 2 recipes. I'm just going to give you the recipe titles so you can start thinking about them. One is kale salad smoothie. It's going to be a savory smoothie. The second one is cherry cashew bars that are frozen bars. Delicious. Okay, just a little thought to put in your head because they're so good. Okay, so cooking. Now, I'm going to give a couple of rules of thumb during this episode. So, cooking. So, basically, the shorter the amount of time. Oh, hi, Mercedes. I see another question, comment. Hello. I'm watching you. I love vegetables, especially from your garden. Oh, great. Yes, me too. Some of the vegetables that are going to be in the kale smoothie are from our garden. Thanks, Mercedes. Oh, Kelly. Yes, pasteurized at a lower temp for your reading pleasure from the NIH. Oh, great. Thank you. That is a great website. Looks like, thank you for doing the research, Kelly. I will check that out, and everybody else should check that out as well. So thank you. So cooking. My rule of thumb, or the rule of thumb that I found from a lot of things that I read, was that the longer the food is being cooked and the longer it's exposed to water, the more nutrient loss there is. So I'll get more into that in a little bit, but that's just kind of a rule of thumb. The longer you cook, the more water there is, the more loss. So the main vitamins that are lost from cooking are the water-soluble vitamins. So vitamin C and several of the B vitamins. And I'll get into which cooking methods leach that out the most. I do want to give a couple of examples of when cooking is good. So cooking actually breaks down the fibers in the cell walls of fruits and vegetables and legumes. And that's good for our digestion. I have an example. Cooking legumes and grains actually improves the digestibility because it reduces the anti-nutrients. So anti-nutrients are compounds that block the absorption of nutrients. We talked a little bit about this, I think it was the garden episode 33, season 1, when we talked about greens. And there are a lot of anti-nutrients out there. One in particular called lectins, and they're in legumes and they're in whole grains. And if the lectins are intact, they can interfere with the absorption of calcium, iron, phosphorus, and zinc. So all of these anti-nutrients, and there are ones in other, there's some in cruciferous vegetables, there's some in whole grains, there's some in seeds and legumes. So those anti-nutrients can be removed or deactivated by soaking, sprouting, or boiling. So that's why the people that follow the raw food diet tend to sprout, because that gets rid of the anti-nutrients, a lot of times the lectins. But those of us that want to cook, soaking and boiling removes those as well. And then your body can digest them better. So that's a good thing. And then, so like I mentioned before, the nutrient that is lost the most is the water solubles. A lot of the research mentions vitamin C, but also vitamin B, the B vitamins. But vitamin C, so for example, there was a study and where they cooked tomatoes, and the vitamin C was decreased by about 29%. But the lycopene, the antioxidant, I think we've discussed this as well, more than doubled in the tomatoes when they were cooked for more than 30 minutes. So And so lycopene is one antioxidant, but the total antioxidant capacity was also increased by over 60%. So cooking tomatoes is a good thing. You get more nutrients, although a little bit of the vitamin C gets taken out. No problem. Another study, the antioxidant capacity and content was also increased when carrots, broccoli, and zucchini were cooked. So antioxidants increased in this study. There was another study, spinach. The iron, magnesium, calcium, and zinc were more available for absorption when they were cooked. So also a good thing. So yes, so the vitamins that are typically lost, C, vitamin Bs, or B vitamins. And the ones that typically stay are, and those are the water solubles, are the fat solubles, typically stick around, vitamin A, D, E, and K. And then also minerals can be a little bit unstable, like potassium, magnesium, sodium, and calcium. So that's something to also consider. And one other thing to also remember is to maintain your nutrients, try not to peel your vegetables if it's something easy like carrots or potato skins or something that is edible. Try to keep the peels on, just scrub your vegetables because most of the nutrients and the fiber is in the skin or close to the skin. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, let's discuss cooking methods. So this is another rule of thumb. It's kind of a spin-off of the rule of thumb that I mentioned earlier. And first of all, there is no perfect cooking method. There just isn't. There's always going to be a little bit of a loss of something. But the shorter the amount of time, the lower the temperature, and the minimal water contact, these three things will help you maintain your nutrients. So the cooking method where things are lost the most is boiling. So boiling, especially vitamin C, is affected by this because all the water, that's water-soluble vitamins, so it's just going to dissolve into the water. So if you can avoid boiling, if you want to keep your nutrients, try a different method, which we'll discuss. But if you're making, the best way, if you do want to boil something, is either make a soup, because the vitamins are still in the liquid. You just have to consume the liquid. So make a soup, or just drink the water. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it can be good. You know, like what did I cook? I boiled or something. I think I boiled some beets and then ended up drinking the water after, and it was delicious. So then you still get your vitamins. So boiling, drink the liquid, make a soup. That's the best you can do to get all the nutrients that would have been lost from the fruits or vegetables. Also, the same goes for simmering and poaching. If something is touching water, if it's actually immersed in the water, it's going to lose those vitamin C and vitamin B vitamins. I keep saying that. I keep reversing it. You know what I'm saying. So stir frying. Let's discuss stir frying. Now, I have 2 studies to report on. And basically what they said was there was a study that was looking at what happened to bamboo shoots when they were stir fried. And the good news is antioxidants were maintained, which it sounds like most of the cooking methods, antioxidants are maintained. They're tough. They can stick around with the heat. The thing that was decreased was protein. So there was also another study in China. In stir-frying broccoli, they found decreased chlorophyll, protein, soluble sugar, and vitamin C. But they did find that the antioxidants were still intact. So there you go. Not a whole lot. They didn't give percentages, but it doesn't sound like a whole lot is lost from stir-frying. But they said one benefit from stir-frying is you typically are using butter or oil, and you're heating the pan to a high temperature so that when you're cooking the vegetables, they're not in there for very long, and they're kind of coated in the oil, which does keep some of the nutrients in there. So that's good, and that helps maintain the antioxidants. So stir-frying, pretty good. The best method is steaming, which I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive because I talked about water, but The water, it's not immersed in the water. So steaming is the best method. I read so many articles and websites and everything. Everybody agrees. Steaming is the best way to cook your vegetables. So any benefits to steaming bacon? I don't know. That's a good question. That is a very good question. Maybe so. Maybe we need to be steaming our bacon. And then maybe we could just quickly put it in the broiler so it can get crisp. So yes, steaming. So the same study that was done with the broccoli also steamed the vegetables, and they found that it had the best vitamin retention. It only decreased the vitamin C by 9 to 15%, which is not that bad. Not that bad at all. So if you can, steam. I know it's not the most exciting way to eat your food, but you can always put oil or butter on after, or a really good sauce. Like I just recently made a really good tahini sauce. Put that like on broccoli and a salad or something. So there are options. If you want to keep your nutrients, steam. Okay, grilling and broiling. I didn't find a whole lot of information on it, but it did say that there was a study, that there was a decrease in about 40% of the B vitamins and minerals. But otherwise, I think everything else seems to be okay. Microwaving preserves food pretty well because of those factors we talked about. It's not in there very long. The temperature isn't super high, but there is usually a little bit of water involved. So the vitamin C loss in vegetables is about 20 to 30%, which is better than some other methods. So there's that. So microwaving is one option as well, although steaming is the best. Baking and roasting said most the vitamin loss is pretty minimal, except if you're roasting something for a really long time. So like a roast or meat, B vitamins are typically lost a little bit, just because it's in there for so long. So that's that. And last but not least is deep frying. So deep frying, interesting enough, vitamin C and B are preserved because they're encapsulated in the oil. So it's not going to be released anywhere, which that's a good thing. But then, and then one other thing, omega-3s. Deep frying is not the best method to maintain your omega-3s like in salmon or tuna or any sort of fatty fish. And that is because the omega-3s are so unstable, or so sensitive, I guess is the word, that the heat just degrades the omega-3s. So other methods of cooking salmon and tuna are better. So just keep that in mind. But one of the downfalls of deep frying, which we all know deep fried food is not that great for us, is that when the oil is heated at a high temperature, this toxic substance called aldehyde is made, or it develops aldehydes, which can increase our risk of cancer and other diseases. So aldehydes are not great. And also reheating oil in a deep fryer. So if you go to a restaurant and they've used the oil like however many times, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, reheating it also increases the aldehyde formations. So not great. It depends on the kind of oil and everything, but basically minimize the amount of fried food that you consume because of these aldehydes. So steaming, microwaving's okay. I don't love the taste of things that are microwaved, but steaming is the best. Stir frying is pretty good as well. Boiling, you lose the most. Frying, aldehydes, not great. So that's it in a nutshell. Let's make our beverage, and then we'll have our dessert. And then if anybody has any other questions, or comments, please put them in the chat. So, kale salad smoothie. This is delicious. I've already made it once this week and was pleasantly surprised to find that it actually turns into like a juice more than a smoothie because I didn't make it super thick. So let's start off. This is from our garden. This is from my husband. He makes all of the vegetables in our garden beautiful. Here's a piece of kale. You can do any kind of kale. So I know we've discussed this before. I probably have kale a lot. because we have a lot in our garden. So, but you just take the ends. You have the rib right here, and then you just rip off the leaf, like so. So we have 1 kale leaf. This is a really large one. I think the recipe that I wrote, I said 3, but I think that counts for 2. Then I have another one. This is a little bit smaller. 2 kale leaves. Okay. Then half of a zucchini, and we have lots of really cute little zucchinis in our yard. So I did like 1 small or half of a medium zucchini. Okay. 1 carrot. This isn't from our garden, but we are growing some. 1 carrot. And what else? Oh, the juice of 1 lime. I have to get my juicer out of the drawer, right under the camera here. Juice of 1 lime. Okay. We got this here. Juice of 1 lime. That was 1/2. This is the other half. Okay. And then a 1-inch piece of ginger. I already cut it up into little cubes. And let's see what else. A teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. So I'm just going to drizzle that in. So it is really like a salad. And then some salt, some pepper, some salt, a little twist of pepper, and a cup of water. So here we go. 1 cup of water. We got our kale salad about to be blended. Okay, here we go. Okay. I might have blended it a little bit longer, but I just didn't want to take up all that time, and you know what I mean. So let's take a taste. It really tastes like, oh yeah, I should blend that a little bit longer, but you get the idea. So it's like getting something juiced, but you're still getting all the fiber, which is great. Kale salad smoothie. It's delicious. I'm really into the savory smoothies lately. So, cheers. I did have a little chew. So I recommend blending it a little bit longer. And then the next thing I've already made, but I'm going to just discuss. It only has 3 ingredients, and I just want to show you how good it is. I'm going to take you with me to the freezer because they're very delicate, and I didn't want them to melt during the day. So this is cashew cherry frozen bars. So what it is 1 cup. I got this idea from, there's a website called Paleo Hacks that I used to follow on Instagram, I think. And their original one uses raspberries, but I didn't have any raspberries, but I did have frozen cherries. So 1 cup cashew butter, 1 cup frozen cherries, 2 tablespoons maple syrup. And then I called for vanilla, but I just didn't put it in. So I just did 3 things. Put it in the food processor. I used a hand blender. Whatever works. You could do a regular blender too. And then you puree that. And then I put parchment paper in a loaf pan. I actually cut that recipe in half, but I wish I would have done the full one because they're really good. The batter is really good too. So loaf pan, parchment paper, and then you just spread it in, and then it makes these delicious bars. And I already took some out and cut them. Excuse me. I already took some out and cut them because I wanted to be able to show you what they look like. It might not look that pretty, but they are so, so good. You do have to eat them pretty quickly after you get them out of the freezer. But when I knew the raw foodists in Colorado, we had a dinner party one night, and the host made this like strawberry ice cream dessert where it was like an ice cream pie, but he pureed dates and almonds and pressed those into the crust to make the crust. And then he pureed, I think it was something like cashew butter and strawberries, and made that the filling. OMG. It was so good. Oh yeah, thanks for adding the paleo hacks. They have some really good stuff. I was looking, they posted this, I think it was in 2016. So it's been a little while, but I looked it up again because I just wanted to do this one. And it's so good. They have good stuff on their website. But anyway, really recommend these bars. They're on that site. It's called, if you go to the Instagram or on their website, they're called no bake raspberry cashew bars. But I'm calling them cherry cashew bars. So I'll post my recipe on Instagram tomorrow, and also the one for the kale salad smoothie. Looks delish. It really is. It really is. I really recommend it. And I think almost everybody would like those cashew bars. I know my brother would. So you'll have to make them for him, parents. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining in today. I really appreciate you being here. It's nice and warm here in Seattle. It's in the 80s, which that's always very exciting. Probably warmer than that in most other places as well. So thank you all for joining in. Raw food diet. That was a lot of fun to talk to everybody. Thank you for all the comments and the questions and the information and the links and everything. I'll be here again next Monday. And have a great rest of your week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.